like you. Be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength. Now I'm the only one.
Welcome back to Na Diorpop. Tonight, we're not just talking about a return to Seoul. We're talking about a quiet kind of love. A love that doesn't ask to be seen, but is felt in every step taken side by side. In every glance that checks, "Are you okay?" In every silent promise that says, "I've got you." This is the story of Jimin and Jungkook. Of a journey home that became a confession without words. Of a love so deep, so gentle, that it chose protection over display. So take a breath, and let's go home with Jikook, where love lives in the smallest moments. And Seoul becomes more than a city, it becomes a feeling. The return was never just a return. For Jimin and Jungkook, coming back to Seoul was a quiet passage filled with moments only the two of them could truly read, glances that lingered a second longer than necessary, steps unconsciously slowed so they would walk side by side, and silences that felt warm instead of awkward. The plane cutting through the clouds carried more than tired bodies home. It carried a feeling that had grown steadily over time. For Jimin, that feeling had long taken shape, a love so deep it never needed to be loud. When the wheels touched the runway in Seoul, Jungkook sensed the difference immediately. It wasn't the familiar flash of cameras or the noise of the airport. It was Jimin, standing half a step closer than usual, their shoulders almost brushing. Jimin didn't reach for Jungkook's hand, that would have been too obvious. Instead, his fingers brushed the sleeve of Jungkook's jacket now and then, a silent check, a quiet promise. "I'm here. You're safe. You're home." Walking through the terminal, Jimin spoke very little. He watched Jungkook with gentle focus, as if committing every small detail to memory. The way Jungkook adjusted his cap, the long breath he let out after the exhausting journey, the instinctive way his eyes searched for Jimin whenever the crowd widened the space between them. Jimin carried these details not as a burden, but as reasons to love him even more. Inside the car, Seoul unfolded outside the windows in familiar lights and shadows. Jungkook rested his head against the glass, watching his reflection blur with passing street lamps. Jimin, seated beside him, lowered the music and softly asked if he was tired. It was such a simple question, asked with such genuine care, that it made Jungkook smile. When he nodded, Jimin shifted without a word, draping his jacket over Jungkook's shoulders in a motion shaped by habit. Jimin's love never arrived with grand declarations. It lived in consistency, in making sure Jungkook ate properly, in reminding him to drink water, in listening fully before offering his own thoughts. On this return to Seoul, that love felt especially tangible. Jimin didn't just want Seoul to be home for Jungkook, he wanted to be the place Jungkook felt safest returning to. When they finally reached the apartment, shoes were kicked off, bags set down, and quiet settled around them. Jungkook stretched, fatigue written into his movements, while Jimin headed straight to the kitchen to prepare something warm to drink. They didn't need many words. Their rhythm was already aligned. Jungkook could feel it in the certainty of Jimin's actions. He was being cared for, without conditions, without being asked. Later that night, they sat together on the couch. Jungkook scrolled through old videos on his phone, clips from stages, practice rooms, and past travels. Jimin watched over his shoulder, smiling softly, sometimes laughing, sometimes falling silent. When a familiar moment appeared, Jungkook stumbling, Jimin instinctively reaching out to steady him. Jimin looked down, a little shy. Jungkook caught the expression and in that moment understood something clearly. Jimin's love wasn't just deep, it was beautifully vulnerable. Jimin loved Jungkook in a way that protected him. He understood how unkind the world could be, and how Jungkook's sincerity often left him exposed. So Jimin chose, again and again, to stand beside him, to be a quiet shield rather than a spotlight. Coming home to Seoul only reaffirmed that choice. Every step through the city they had grown up in together felt like a renewal of an unspoken vow. Whatever comes, we face it together. As the night grew late, Jungkook fell asleep first, his head resting against Jimin's shoulder. Jimin didn't move. He let his arm go numb, because Jungkook's comfort mattered more. He watched Jungkook's peaceful face, whispering a prayer he never spoke aloud, a wish for Jungkook's health, happiness, and safe returns. Morning arrived softly, light slipping through the curtains. Jungkook woke to find a blanket neatly pulled over him and a warm cup of coffee waiting nearby. Jimin was already awake. There was no surprise in it. This was how Jimin loved, quietly, steadily, without needing acknowledgement. Jungkook smiled, his heart full with a rare certainty. To be loved like this was to be truly seen. Jikook's return to Seoul wasn't just about coming back to a city or resuming old routines. It was a quiet affirmation of the bond they had built over time. For Jimin, loving Jungkook was a choice he made every single day. To stay, to understand, to protect. And for Jungkook, that love was home. In a city that never truly sleeps, two hearts found their calm. Without announcements. Without explanations. Because the greatest love often moves in silence. And in this return to Seoul, Jimin proved that his love for Jungkook was not just a feeling, it was a living commitment, breathing gently beside him every step of the way home. And in the end, their return to Seoul was never about the destination. It was about choosing each other, again and again. In quiet ways the world doesn't always notice. Jimin's love didn't need to be loud to be real. It lived in protection, in patience, in staying close without being asked. And for Jungkook, that love became home. Some stories don't need explanations. Some bonds don't need confirmation. They simply exist. Steady, sincere, and enduring. Thank you for coming home with Jikook. This has been Na Diorpop, where love is soft, silent, and always strong enough to stay.
Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength, now I'm the only one. Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream, believe in strength, now I'm the only one. Like you, be strong to hold the powers of the sun. To dream.